in the right room, so that's good. Couple people, yeah. And obviously, he doesn't really need an introduction, but I would like to thank Jim Lee for coming down for this event. And thank you all for being here for the first SAM in San Diego, Storytelling Across Media. Basically, this is, as you know, a free event, and we're hoping that all of you are interested in how storytelling is done and how it can be done using different media. If you saw, we have panels that are going to be covering AR and VR, gaming, comics, all kinds of stuff. So we're really excited, and we hope you guys are too, and we hope you guys learn a lot and come away with some great ideas. And also, don't forget, there will be a mixer after from 7 to 10, and all of you for being here are definitely invited and should come up and hang out. And it's a great opportunity to discuss all the things that you've learned about today. And then one more note for those of you that just came in, remember, if you dropped a raffle ticket, when this is over, don't leave, because we need to draw one, so make sure to stick around. And with that, it is my distinct pleasure to present Jim Lee.
Thank you, Eddie. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out on a Saturday. Appreciate it. I was thinking about the subject of storytelling, and honestly, you could spend days talking about this. So I was kind of hard-pressed to figure out exactly what I would focus on. There's a number of things, but I thought it might be helpful if I asked you guys kind of your interests, and then I can kind of maybe tailor my comments to what I think you guys might find useful. How many of you guys are? I noticed that in the description of this event, it really talked about aspiring storytellers, writers, artists. How many of you guys are looking to break into the business actively? Some people put their hands down. Okay. How many of you guys are here because you want to see some live drawing and hear some talk about the craft of storytelling, maybe? Okay, all right. More of those. Okay. All right. How many of you here to pick up a drawing that I've done on Twitch? Okay, I think there's a couple. Wait, no. I don't have that many. There are multiple people, right? So I stream, I live stream every, well, not every Sunday, but every other, maybe a couple Sundays a month. It's a free platform, and I just kind of ramble on about all sorts of things. But I draw, and people can watch me draw, and it's very interactive. And I do some drawings that are either given away for free or people that subscribe. There are ways. The platform is set up so you can support it financially. So every given stream, different people are eligible to win, but you could be someone that is just on there as a viewer without subscribing at all. So I had some sketches that I did, and the people said, well, don't mail it to me, I'll just be at San Diego, I'll come pick it up. But now I don't really know how to verify you guys, because the handles are like @squirrel, @squirrel collector 42. I have no idea if you guys are who you say you are. So, all right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about storytelling real quick. This is this? Can you see this? No. No. All right. Is there someone named Why-He? @Why-He here? Are you sure? Wait. Oh, hey, I see Poop Kid. All right, hey, how you doing? That's his real name. Or not his real name. What am I saying? We can hope it's not his real name. Is it Why-He? Is that you? Yeah. Okay. So to give you guys an example, which one was it? Was this a sub 5, 10, 25? 10? All right, sub 10. So there are all these different levels. So this is of support. So this is one of the ones I did recently. You know what? I should show this at the end because you're gonna think I'm drawing something in an hour like this. But so this is yeah. I really wanted to keep this one actually.
Still can.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Really, there was no contract or anything. All right, dude, come on up. Come on, grab this. I imagine why he'd look very different based on his comments. Sorry, no, you look good. Why did people laugh at that?
Comments.
Yeah, I always have this mental picture of, I don't know why, but it's always wrong. I don't know. But yeah, poop kid. Anyway, so storytelling. All right, so here's my quick 5-minute tutorial on storytelling for those of you who are aspiring artists. So usually there are 3 kinds of shots, right? There's the wide establishing shot. That's good for establishing location, relationship between objects. And then there's the medium shot, which is good for conversations, right? Interpersonal dialogue between characters or objects. And then the third shot is a close-up, and the close-up is used mostly to convey emotion, right? Right? So, and often these are used, so if you think about it, A, B, C, A is establishing shot, B is medium, and C is a close-up. It's like music, right? A, B, C, B, C, 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 A, you know. And so every artist will create a different series of shots, A, B, C, whatever. And that actually is part of the style that you guys don't see. I'll draw while I'm talking, so that you don't see, right? So there's the style that you know how people draw faces or bodies or whatever, but you don't see the storytelling, whether they use A, B, C's. You feel it as you read the story, and a lot of it's actually conveyed now by the writers who kind of establish, open with this, whatever, but let's just say it's all in the hands of the artist. And so, you know, if there's a page like this, okay, and if that's A, B, C, C, A, let's just do that for example. And you see this in television all the time. They do it just very, very quickly in like 5 seconds, or even less. So if this is a cityscape, here, I'll go to ink, be easier. All right. Here's, and then within the context of an establishing shot, I'm going to give you a rule of threes. There seems to be 3 of everything. So within a shot, there's foreground, middle ground, background. So this is the foreground, right? And then we've got the middle ground, and then the middle ground has, so they all have varying degrees of detail, right? And then the background might be usually thinner line weights, clouds. And we'll have the moon back here. Okay. And if this is Gotham City, you have water towers, right? Okay. Got it. And so that establishes, boom, where we are. And in the old days, people would actually write on top of here, Gotham City, right? They do it less so now because it's, I think readers understand what they're looking at. They used to, I think, over-explain in the old days when they published comics in the pre-60s, 70s, 80s, I guess. And then you have B, so we're going to cut into a window. And we'll put bricks there, and these bricks are vital to establishing that we're looking outside from the building, inside. So these small little details help establish where you are and what you're looking at. So readers know that we're not in an adjacent room inside of interior, but that we're outside. Right, and then actually by the shape of the bricks and the spacing between them, you establish whether it's brick or concrete, right? We all know this is a very standard brick size. And bricks kind of go here. Sometimes there's like that smaller brick that goes like that. Right? Concrete blocks have more. What am I doing? I'm talking about concrete blocks. All right. This is so important. Do not forget this. If there's anything you remember today, concrete friggin' blocks. All right? This is the secret of my success. I'm sharing it all with you today. Okay. Look, texture, right?
I was going to say, what about stucco?
Stucco, well, I would just do shadows of stucco like this, right? Because if you overdraw the stucco, it looks like lines on it, right? So stucco would look like this. And then I do this, okay.
Patched stucco.
Yes, broken stucco, right? With bricks appearing underneath. Yeah. People love this kind of attention to detail, right? Stucco, broken stucco, over brick. Perhaps pre-World War II brick. I'm thinking imported brick from England. All right. Is there any others? Mosaics? Okay. All right, anyway, so let's get back to this. So then we'll have a person here, and then we'll have a desk, and a person sitting at the desk. Maybe there's a light here, and that light is the light source, so this guy's mostly silhouette. Okay. Cast a shadow like that. Can you see that? All right, good. Little drawers, okay. Now I would probably count on the colors to put some sort of film glaze over it, or you could just draw window frame like that. You have to get it in the right spot so we don't obliterate this figure here. Maybe this person will be pointing at this other person. They're obviously talking. And so now that I've established this location and this two-person shot here with the medium, which is almost like I can now go to a reaction shot where the light is here. So if the light's on the left-hand side, we know that this is the person seated at the table. We are consistent with the light source here. And we know from the, what's it called? Leather chair with the buttons.
Executive chair.
Executive chair. Thank you. Executive chair. That maybe this guy's it's kind of well off. Okay. And then we can put books behind him. Now he feels like kind of like an attorney. All right. You put varying degrees of detail. So that's a C shot. Then now you can go to an even more extreme close-up, which is the other person. We're going to be seeing it from this person's point of view. So this person will be kind of looking up at all right. And we place the shadows like on his forehead. Now you're interested. You guys are like, Brick, whatever, man. And I was like, oh my God, it's a Joker. It's a Joker. Someone drawing along out there? I hear some scribbling pencil. Hold on. Right? Yes. Now I can sell this. All right, so then we can go back to an establishing shot, A, or you can go to B. I'm going to go to B, so it will just be, since I've established where the camera is, I now know all the relationships of everything, so I could even put, it's kind of a medium shot. Oh, this guy's in the chair. And this is something that I like to do. I don't know if everyone does it, which is the acting part of it, right? The characters are reacting to each other. I've talked a little bit about miming. I'm not going to show it, but miming is part of it, right? Acting is part of it. What does someone do if they see something? And a lot of times I just put the arms up in the air like this. Here's the desk. Okay. I want to be consistent and have that light, and it's basically knocked off. But when it's knocked off, I'm going to do it so that the what's it called? The lampshade, because it's not secure, it's going to rotate like that, right? Okay. That little detail to me conveys that something is out of order. It's not just being knocked over, it's actually being hit with enough force that it's kind of breaking its shape. And then we can put the Joker here. Put a gun in his hand here, so you can hold the gun here in this other hand. Well, same hand, sorry. And then over here, we put the broken window pane. And now, the window, what are these called? Huh? No, the
Individual panes or
window,
lights?
is it the sill? It's the
Mulans?
Mulans, what? We have a contractor in the house. All right, we know the window panes are the glass. What are the things in between the window panes? The window frame. The window frame goes around.
It's the Mulans.
The Mulans?
Yeah.
M-U-L-A-N.
Something like that.
S. All right, okay, the Mulans. It's French. Moulins.
And the individual panes of glass are called lights.
Lights?
Yes.
Like these lights?
Yes.
That's not
Lights
confusing.
of glass.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then, to sell this even further, I'm now going to talk about, what's it called? Chaos theory? I don't know. You know, like how things break? They will break randomly, but there's actually a pattern to their randomness, right? So if you have a ketchup pack and you squish it, the ketchup's always going to exit that pack in different angles, but at the same time there'll be a pattern to it, like the furthest one will be... Fractals? Yeah, there we go. So as the Mulans are shattered, the glass will appear in fractal patterns across... I want you guys to learn. This is the most important thing. You must be sponges. If you really want to succeed, you have to know what I'm talking about. So if you squish a thing of ketchup, okay, right, you're going to get a glob like this. This is what I do on my streams. So if you're asking for your money back for this event, it is free, I will remind you. Okay, and then you're going to have a lot of blobs that are close by, because these are the blobs that really just cannot be bothered to really make an effort. So these are the blobs that really don't succeed in life. And then there's the overachieving blobs that kind of go all the way over here. The fast swimmers, as we like. This is good. So, and then, yeah. And then I do these kinds of things, which are kind of like... I don't know what they are. It's actually two blobs that are connected. So the blobs have weight. So imagine like a bolo, right? Blobs of ketchup floating through the air connected by a string of ketchup. And then it, like phlegm, whatever. And so when it hits, it creates its own pattern. And that's why you get these kind of things here like this. They look like little anemic dogs, okay? Now you're offended. Like, oh. These are not real things. I'm trying to connect things to objects so that when you draw, you go like, well, I'm going to draw an anemic dog. I remember that. Oh, look. Or a person, and whatever. Okay. So glass is similar to that, without the bolos. So most of them are here, and then there are fewer ones here. And now we're going to put Batman coming through. He's got his arms, and then the cape. And the cape is going to cast a shadow over his chest, and his leg like this. Okay? And now there might be a sound effect here. You know, we're talking about storytelling. What's interesting today, I was thinking about all the other people that are going to talk about how they create for their mediums, and every medium has shortcomings and pros and cons. You know, I think one of the things that people talk about in comics that's missing is there's no sound, but I disagree. When I read a comic book, I don't see the sound effect, I don't read it, I just hear it, right? So. All right, so I feel I fulfilled this part of the symposium. I've talked a little about storytelling. Was this illuminating at all, or do you guys already know this? SketchUp, anemic dogs, Mulans, fractal theory, bricks, stucco. All right. All right. Okay, I'll move on from there. All right.
Can I have that?
I think I'm going to give them away at the end to the Twitch subscribers. No, they support me, man. Who do you think paid for the gas to come down here? It's that gentleman right there. Thank you very much. Does anyone have a Kleenex here? I use it as a drawing instrument, but also for bodily hygiene. Yes, please. Oh, thank you. All right, look at that.
I'm still going on to you.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, thank you. All right. All right. Oh, thank you. I can do that too. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. So why did I go through this? I think it's to show that this is a great way of telling a story in a page. It is essential, I think, to do these parts so that they all impact each other. So it's the A affects the B, which affects the C, which again affects the B. That said, and then you could take that and elevate it to, if you're a writer, to a story. If you think about a story, A is like the first act, B is like the second act. This is kind of like the third act. So when you think of like a show like Star Trek, anyone you guys watch Star Trek, right? That was a procedural. Every episode they go to a planet. So they always spent time in that first act going, they show the bridge, well, they usually show the bridge or the Enterprise, and then they would show the planet, and then Kirk would talk about what they're doing there. So that's like setting it all up. And to me, that's sort of old-fashioned storytelling. It's super clear, and it introduces the viewer into the situation. But a lot of time, modern storytelling usually starts from the second act. So like, boom, you're already on the planet, you're already running from the creatures, and then they explain it. They don't even bother to explain how they got there, right? So if you're a writer, that's a good way of kind of modernizing storytelling. I think it's just more in vogue. And so when I think about the Star Trek movies, right, Into Darkness and Beyond, I think they all start in the second act, right? Like, boom, he's there talking to these creatures that are small but nasty, or they're already on a planet running from these people, you know. So you understand what's going on. And so you see that a lot more in modern storytelling these days. So if you're a writer, it's not a bad way to go. You just have to sort of either assume that the audience knows how you got there, or you explain it in dialogue or in other ways as you go forward. Okay. What else can I say about storytelling? So the only other thing I'll say is all these little details, to me, they do tell a story. And when I draw a panel, I do think about that. I think about the objects that are in the background. I think about their clothing. I think about the way they sit and stand, and think about their histories that brought them to that moment. No one may care about that, but I feel like it does add something that readers subconsciously pick up on and understand who these characters are, without maybe having a whole mini-series to explain who they are. Okay?
Jim, can I ask a question?
I think you did, but yes, go ahead. Yeah.
For that page that you had, if you had gotten it as a script from a writer, how do you expect it to be kind of told to you as the artist?
So it would be panel 1, establishing shot of Gotham City.
So how much detail?
That's Brian Azzarello. Okay. Right. Alan Moore would be, it is April 13th, 1993. If you look in the almanac, it was a hazy day, full of humidity, 87%. Please note this with a dial in the foreground. Please use the Helvetica font on that device to indicate. I mean, there were scripts where it was 3 pages of single-spaced information about 1 page, right? Yeah. So it's different. So yeah, it could be establishing shot, Gotham City, Batman is in the silhouette, full moon, right? Panel 2, exterior, looking down through a window. Joker, whose back is to us, is pointing a gun at a wealthy, established attorney in a banker's chair, something like that. And then third shot, from Joker's point of view, or side shot, and then I would have changed to this 3/4, the banker looking dumbfounded or anxious or concerned. Third shot, upshot of Joker maniacally looking down upon his victim, right? The last shot, Batman crashes through the Moulins and lights of the window, sending glass shards in a fractal pattern dynamically across the page. Sound effect, crash. Yes? Oh, C. What is the C?
That's the close-up.
Yeah, these are the C's. Sorry. These are the C's right here. This is kind of middle C. This is C. You could even put, like, the Joker's face reflected. Right, it's this guy's. The Joker's face is reflected in that. So that's an extreme close-up. That's super extreme, right? So they're very much written like film scripts, but there are times that I deviate from it. I think the whole point is, like, what's the information that has to be conveyed on this page, and what's the best visual look for it? You could take that and, go, okay, I'm going to do something where it's really important. The emphasis of this page is that it's set in Gotham City, so instead of doing what I just did, I'm going to do something different where, you put... it's Batman. It helps if I just tell you.
What is the wall made out of?
It is bricks, of course. Those bricks used from the very very first walls that circled Gotham City, but then as they expanded the city, they tore down those walls and then repurposed the bricks into this new building, originally used as a tuna processing facility when fishing was really the big thing in Gotham. But then as that was replaced by factories, it's important that you understand what you're drawing. All right. Yeah. Anyway, so then, and then I'll take all these other panels, okay, and make them inset panels. Okay. So now here's a way of doing something kind of designy, right? But I don't know if that's the solution to this page because of what happens in that last panel. If it was just all conversation here, I think that's a great way of making it look dynamic, right? So if you did these 4 panels here, and you did 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one's a big eye, that works. But because this action shot here is at the end, I feel like I would actually anchor the page around that image, right? And then do something where probably something different where I do A, B, C, A, B, C. So, very quickly, right, that panel there. When I do layouts, when I'm breaking down a page, I draw kind of, even less than this. I'll just do kind of. Right. So if we're running really late, this is what the writer will get. They'll have to write that dialogue off of this. They're really good at what they do. It takes a lot of imagination. I'll write like Joker, banker. And then the last shot is going to be the splash where, and then I'll do it diagonally so that the So this is my first kind of pass at it. Maybe this guy's chairs also. Okay. I'll know that it's roughly something like this that I want to establish. That's a shadow of Batman kind of. So trust me on that one. So this is the basic version. This is the version that I might contemplate doing, but then based on the sequence, I'd probably do something like this. And I might even change the angle on this so the Batman's coming more towards us. But it's always refinements of refinements, right? And this feels a little more modern to me. And I think it's important, as we're talking about storytelling, that every generation of creators will do something like this. You would never see something like this drawn in the 60s. It was all 3-tier, 5, 6 panels a page. This kind of design is something that I think Frank Miller kind of started, and then Image Comics then said, well, why draw
a brick building. No one cares about the brick building. They want to see Batman. So we would just draw Batman. And then you have all these other panels, very, very small. Right? So, yeah.
So, do you work as an art director and artist? I mean, you're setting the look and feel. Oh, sorry.
Do I work as an art director and artist?
Yeah. So you're setting the feel, the look and feel for the final product, so to speak, right?
Right.
You're working as art director and artist?
I would say costumer, special effects coordinator, stunt coordinator, costume designer, key grip. I wish I could think faster because it would be funnier. Caterer, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, so it's all that. The writers have it easy. They just put words on the page, whatever. Gotham City, you need to tell me that? Okay, sure, yeah, it's dark Gothic. Okay, so there's a lot of that. So you're also the actors, right? So it's really important. And you're also lighting the sequence. There's a lot of film theory that you can draw upon in terms of where the cameras go to establish storytelling and continuity, right? They have something called breaking the plane. Right? If there's someone here, and they're talking with each other. Okay, this is Pictionary right here. There's a plane that exists that kind of... So the cameras can always stay on this side. Once you cross that plane, it is confusing to the viewer because it looks like the people switch places. But that's also an old-fashioned thing. I see it routinely broken in movies and TV shows now, where you see people chasing... It used to be if you had a car chase, Superman being chased by a car. I see it. That's it's a dumpster, okay? Or no, what is it called? Concrete? Yeah, I don't know. English is my second language. I was not born here. Right? And then if I do this, where the car is driving this way, and then it's confusing, right? It looks like they swerve, so you have to be careful. So to do that, you kind of need something in between, which is, I would probably do a down shot of the city. This is a roof, because we're going to see an AC unit right there. And water tower here. Through the power perspective, I'm going to force you to look down this way, and then I will have this car. So I put the smoke to indicate, even though there's not a lot of smoke in the city, that it's moving that way. I made it a concrete truck because it's unique looking. You'll know exactly every time I draw it that's the object. So I think about that a lot. And then I'll have Superman flying this way. And other cars will be swerving out of the way, and these cars I'll try to make fairly generic looking. So they just kind of suggest a lot of traffic without... So it allows me to put a lot of detail in there without making it too confusing to look at. So imagine this panel followed by this panel, now that panel, right? So they're curving, and so that reverse of direction. But a lot of times people just skip this and they go straight to that. I don't know. It's kind of, these are cultural norms, right? In comics in Japan and Europe, they'll use different ciphers and different methods of conveying motion and sense of place. So these are just what I've kind of grown up on, and I think most Western content is done this way, but like I said, it's evolving and changing all the time. So I think we have like 10 minutes left. So Something like that. Someone just draw something. If you guys have any other just general questions or whatever? Yes, down here.
A question earlier was about what's the collaborative process between the writer and the artist and stuff. And Greg Capullo mentioned something like that last week at Comic-Con LA about the different styles between Marvel and DC and how they collaborate with the artists and the writers and stuff. He mentioned that the Marvel way is more plot driven and the artist has more wiggle room as long as they hit their plot points on the right pages. He has more wiggle room. But he also mentioned that DC is more scripted, where everything's kind of like by the book. So my question to you is, what process you're more familiar with? What process do you like to work with the best? In other words.
Right. So I grew up. I started my I started my career at Marvel. I don't think they work that way anymore. So there used to be something called Marvel Style, which was a synopsis, like Greg was talking about. He might have been talking about in the past. I think most writers today at both companies write full script, which is kind of like movies and TV scripts. And that definitely gives a lot more control to the writers in terms of the storytelling. But we always encourage artists to deviate as needed if they think they can create something that looks visually more appealing. But yeah, I started out Marvel style where it would say like, Gotham City or the Batman's looking at a argument between the Joker and a banker. He crashes through the window. That would be it. That would be that entire page that I just drew, right? So, and I did that for years, and that's what I got used to. And then when I started full script, that was actually very challenging. It was difficult, kind of working that way. But now I've gotten used to it. And we've tried experiments where we try to do stuff Marvel style, and I don't like it anymore. I think it's just you get used to it. Maybe you get lazy. Tell me how many panels are on this page. What's no? We used to, and the business used to pay artists more because of it. So, because there was more work involved working Marvel style. But I think what happens when you work full script is that it allows the beats on the page to better reflect the emotional content of it, because you might have something that you want to really convey in a story, and the artist either misses it or doesn't put the attention needed when you work Marvel style, right? It's what I'm trying to say. I'm always like, because I've been streaming, I'm always drawing a little at it from a different angle.
With your,
yeah, because there's not normally a microphone in my face like this. And so I just realized that everything, normally you'd be like that. So the proportions might be off, I don't know if you can tell the difference. Oh, no, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I'm just saying, statistically. Because I have people on Twitter saying, hey, did you draw this? And I'm like, you can't tell? If you can't tell, I've got other comic books I've drawn here. I could sell you, yeah. Anyway. Any other questions? Yes.
So, in your artistic career, I mean, you're often asked a lot, what's your greatest triumph? I want to know, what is your greatest regret?
Was when I vanquished Frank Miller. No, is there a second part to it?
Maybe? Oh, it's just what is your
greatest triumph?
Greatest regret.
My greatest regret? Ooh. Frank Miller paid me back. I don't know if I don't know if I look at. I wish I had an answer for you that I could quickly pull. I don't know if I'd look at it that way. Meaning, like, oh my God, that was a moment of triumph.
Learning
learning experience. Well, okay, there are obviously periods where things that we did I was involved in that did really well. So like the start of Image Comics. I don't know if that's a triumph, but that was something we wanted to do and that succeeded. That was very successful. But there were a lot of regrets also in that success because, you're closing the door on other opportunities as you kind of move forward. So I wish I had a better answer. I have to remind myself I'm going to think about that. I don't really have regrets in general in life. I feel like I have not done yet. So if there's anything I really truly regret, I could always go back and address them. Unless if you're talking like New 52 costumes or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that was a triumph. Come on, let's clearly put that in the triumph column, please. All right, you haters. Let's triumph. There should be a word that mixes regret with triumph. Triumph. I don't know. Where it's a double-edged sword. Sir, do you have the word? No. Okay. All right.
Is that would be Raygun?
Raygun?
No, Raygun.
Raygun? Okay.
Well, I was going to ask you, was there ever a writer that you regretted not working with?
Yeah, I think there was a project that, I was talking about Alan Moore. I was actually specifically referring to a project that he and I were going to do together called Comet Rangers, and he did write 3 pages, I had like 15 pages of stuff that he wrote. 15 pages of comic book, and it was 45 pages of so, and it's not that, look, I love getting detail and direction, and that's not what kind of led to that not happening. My own inability to get projects done during that era. But yeah, it would have been great to have done that. Yeah, do it on Twitch. He'll love that. Hey, Alan. All right.
You talked about setting up the scene in your ABCs. Do you ever create dialogue in your own mind?
All the time. And it's really bad. And that's why I don't... it's good to know what you are good at and bad at in life. And I'm bad at writing, so you can thank me all now. Yeah.
I had a question about page layout.
Excuse me?
Page layout?
Yes?
The second option that you did on the Batman page.
Yeah.
How much play do you have to add, let's say, like a pinup or a splash page for the second page where the first panel anchored Batman more? And so the last panel you said would end with the eye. How much play would you have to do a splash page for the second, or like the next page?
Generally not. It's really hard to add a whole splash page. I can nudge a page by a panel or something like that. For the most part, you would have to get an extra page added to it, and sometimes we do. You make the argument, especially for a high-profile project like, hey, this story would really benefit from an extra page or 2 pages. Generally, most stories, are about 20 pages now, and they used to be 22, so there's room in there, wiggle room. I think you can go all the way up to 24. And we have creative teams that routinely ask for extra pages, and we try to keep it down because they add up, and they actually, if I could talk as a publisher, it breaks into your margin, right? You're paying for 2 extra pages of creating content. You're charging the same price that you would have at 22 or 20, right?
Is there a little more wiggle room, say, compared from DC to Image?
Well, at Image, it's all creator-owned, so you could do whatever you want. Yeah, I mean, you can make it all. You can do 32-page comics with no ads.
When did you start, drawing?
Wait, is it you? Oh, when did I start drawing? I started drawing when I was 4 years old. Yeah, I think 4. I remember I had an art teacher when I was 4, This was in Seoul. It was like Twitch, except she was in my living room with me, talking directly. Yeah. It was a woman. We used to work in oil pastels. This was Seoul, Korea. So that's the earliest remembrance of it. But kids draw at 2, 3, right? They start making scribbles and stuff. And I think it's just a biological, we're like hardwired to illustrate or try to draw things around us. It's really bad if you confuse blowing your nose with using this as an art tool. So don't distract me, Eddie. It could be really disastrous. So. Anyone else have a question?
One quick question on the flip side: how do you negotiate word balloons and amount of dialogue on a page? Like, do you ever have to wrestle with the writer about covering up your ideas versus how much has to be said on a page?
I draw it as if there are no word balloons, and then I know that the dialogue balloon's going to cover it up, and it unfortunately does cover up a lot of work. A lot of times you do know that it's going to be covered up. I don't know why. It's just an obsessive part of me, because in the old days they would letter on the boards themselves, so you would never even see that art that I put there, slaved away and thought about the bricks and all that stuff, erased. Well, the letter would draw blasphemously over my art and then erase it. And it was really, really hard. Today, all the lettering is done on an overlay on a digital file. So the original boards have all the art, all the thought, it's there. So I think I draw for that original, and I don't really think about where the word balloons go. I have ideas where they could go, and they usually go there, but I'm not too worried about covering that stuff up, or that it's going to be covered up, because you'll drive yourself crazy.
Which of the layouts that you did has the most artistic appeal to you? Not the content appeal, but the artistic appeal.
Which of the layouts?
The 3 different layouts that you did with the panel.
Oh. Yeah. None of them really. I mean, this is just for demonstration purposes. Come on.
Well, visualizing.
I would probably draw it this way. I would probably draw it this way, but I would do it so that the last panel, So I start with this, so that the writer has something to work off of. But then, if I actually had to draw it, I would probably start with I'll probably start with this hand here. It's kind of like what I see. And then, this mostly all in black. Yeah. And then the Joker's face right here.
How many iterations of this would you do before you settle on something you like?
You don't like this one? This is pretty close to the final, dude. I'm a very busy guy, and you can't tell the difference anyways. So, no, I'm not saying you. I'm saying that's not what I meant. You know what I meant. I don't know what I meant. Something like that. Here's the other dude. Okay. So I'd probably start with something like this, and then I'd put all the other stuff up here somewhere. Right? That's like the image way, I guess. Okay, so I think we're done, right, Eddie? Okay. So can I give these away? Is that cool?
Yeah, of course.
All right. You guys have raffle tickets? Or do you want to do your raffle?
No, we do ours first.
Yeah. Let me just.
If you have 645 6326. Woo! Over there? All right. If you can come and see Scott.
Oh, you're not reveal it? Oh, you can't. Oh, that's right. You're right. Sorry. That's some other thing. All right. So these are for the.
So which one would you like to raffle first?
We'll start with this one here.
Okay. If you have 645-6365, come on up and get your piece. Now we got a winner there.
You know, this is actually like what it's like in the Twitter raffle, like the Twitter giveaways, except without the applauding. No one really. Like, damn him! It's just a lot. Haterade.
645-6134. Come on up.
You won twice? This is where the hate level goes. Oh, I should sign those. Sorry.
All right, 645-6137. Oh, wow. Um, 645-6156. 615 up in the back there.
Sure.
Mix it up a little bit. All right. 645-6299. 6299.
Here we go.
Oh, right there. Batman versus the Joker.
You have to use your imagination. Sorry.
And for the Wonder Woman?
Sure. Yes, this is the last one.
For the Wonder Woman, 386. 386.
That was a cackle of triumph right there. Congrats. All right, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you guys sitting through this and being so good.